Hey, Adam is the co-host of the No Agenda Show, where he brings his unique blend of humor and commentary to countless fans. Please welcome 2015 Hall of Fame inductee, the Podfather, Adam Curry. Hey.
Never expected 10, 11 years ago that we'd have a stage like this. Good up for Colt, by the way. He's doing a great job. I procrastinate, and I figured I'd write down a few notes in the hotel, things I wanted to say. Didn't we used to have stationery in hotels? Now these little shitty notepads. It's like a million of them. I love the Omni, though. It's really good. I'm very appreciative of this recognition, and I'd like to recognize a couple of people. You heard his name earlier. Dave Weiner, who really has done so much for protocols, for podcasting, the internet, for blogging. Please, a round of applause for Dave Weiner. He deserves his own award. And if they don't have an award for him next year, I'll write my name off and give this one to him. I'd like to thank and actually just recognize my fellow inductees. Todd Cochran, you've done so much for podcasting. You're a diehard. You hang in there. Really, really impressed what you've done over the years, and I really appreciate what you've done for podcasting. Really good, Todd. Scott Sigler, also a fellow inductee, created his own category. This guy is a powerhouse. Was very proud to work with him at Auidio. Just a fantastic, fantastic personality, and really good for the movement. And Leo Laporte, who you also saw on video. Leo is the guy who has proven to us that television really can work as a podcast. It can work online, and his efforts are just stunning. Further, I'd like to thank my partner at Auidio, Ron Bloom. Some people whose names you might not know, who started early, the developers. When I started the Daily Source Code, the whole idea behind that podcast was, here's this idea of how to send out a file and have it automatically show up on your iPod. But we needed developers to do that. And how else could I motivate developers by making a show every single day so that they could test their stuff against it? And it was source code. I thought, that's kind of geeky. Those guys would like it. And in came Andrew Grummett, who was very instrumental in the first podcatcher. It was iPodder Lemon. Then we had the iPodder X guys, Ray Slakinski and August Trometer. And of course, Steve Jobs and Eddie Q, who had the foresight, I think, to put podcasting into iTunes, and I'm very appreciative of that as well. And of course, for the past 8 years, I've had the pleasure of working with one of the funniest guys I know, John C. Dvorak, on the No Agenda podcast. Yeah. Often known as the best podcast in the universe, yes. We don't have an award for that, though. I'm really happy that this is called the Podcast Movement. I think it's a great name. It implies something that I believe to be true, and you see this with a lot of the NPR podcasts, mainstream, from sports networks, but also what I call the NPR spin-offs, which I like seeing a lot. This movement is forceful. In fact, I think podcasting is overtaking broadcasting. You're seeing that in this room. You're seeing broadcasters moving into podcasting. That's really big. As we say, the genie is out of the bottle. Now, I've never spoken at a podcast conference. I've never felt like I want to do it. I don't necessarily feel very comfortable doing it. But I do know that when people come to these conferences, they always want to know a couple things. One is, I think the number one is, how do I make money? How do I monetize? How do I do it? And it's kind of the wrong question. Early on, 10 years ago, at one of the first podcast gatherings, people would say, you need to speak with passion. As long as you have passion, then it'll all work out. And that's partially true, but it's really the audience. And we've heard a couple of people thank their fans, their junkies, their skunkies, their whatever they're called, their crew. I mean, all of this it's the same thing. It is people, it's the audience who are listening. And if you can connect with an audience, they will give you everything you desire. This is what Dvorak and I figured out. We had people listening, and this was our audience who wanted to grow it. And we had one ask. We said, pay us. And if you keep doing that, we'll keep doing the show. And this will work any way you want. They will gladly buy products and services from your advertisers. Really, you need to have audiences that covet what you do, and if you covet them, then it will work. This is no different from mainstream, except now we don't have kind of, brain-dead people sitting around without any interaction. The audiences are an integral part of what podcasting is. They're like these micro units of, they repeat stuff, they retweet stuff, they go out and they get you information, they feed back. It's so different from the mainstream and the original broadcasting that I came from. You really need to continue to look at what your audiences are saying. Now, the way we did that on the No Agenda show is we gave them credits. Just like Hollywood. In Hollywood, the way it works is, you put down a big check and then your name comes up in the front of the TV show or for the movie, and you're never really going to make your money back, but you get to go to con and bang the actresses. That's kind of why people do it. We don't have actresses to bang on our show, so we just give people a credit, and they seem to be very happy with it. We also call them producers for that very reason. See, this I wrote on the back of this is the final piece of the pad there. This is really what I want to leave you with. It is so incredibly easy to do a podcast these days. But to really be successful, you have to connect to that audience from the get-go, and you have to listen and really understand what they are asking from you. You do that, and you can soar as high as you want to go. It is the only thing that needs to be done. Money, a lot of people don't do podcasting for money. They just want to feel the love from people. Maybe they have a product to sell. That's all that needs to be done. That's been my message for 10, 11 years. It's the same one. Everything else really doesn't matter. So for the No Agenda listeners out there, I want to thank you for your courage, and thank you all for being here at the Podcast Movement, and thank you to the organizer of this great event.